Jan Wong. He's the founder of Open Mind Resources, a digital consulting startup. Starting at the age of 17, he was venturing into 8 businesses. He's a regional keynote and TEDx speaker. And guys, watch it out. He's listed on Forbes 30 under 30 in 2017. He's actually doing this session while conducting another virtual workshop. Do you think this would have been possible without technology? Right, Jan?
Exactly. It's so amazing because the workshop is actually still running right now on a separate screen, but here I am. I'm just muting between both sessions. It's so amazing with technology. So happy to be here as well.
Awesome, Jane. This is lovely to have you with us because I know you're multitasking. And I think this is the world of multitasking. As Ravi just mentioned, it's about generalization more than specialization. And indeed, for years, we have been talking about that. And that's one of the change that we have seen in the mindsets of the entrepreneurs, founders, or the decision makers. They look for people who can do a few things rather than just one thing good. But how about you, Jay Wong? You're the founder of Open Minds, and you guys launched even app during this pandemic time. So definitely consumer attention has been one of the key readings, and I'm all keen to hear where is this consumer attention going in as we are deep diving into 2021?
That is a very good observation, actually. And I'm very happy to be able to share with you some of these things because consumer attention has definitely changed so much in 2020. I mean, there are so many research that was put out there saying that 2020 is the year where we have vaulted 5 years into the future. So technically, when we talk about consumer attention and the things that we're experiencing right now, it's somewhat 2025 and not 2020 anymore. And there are actually 3 things I would like to share within this 10 minutes, which is a brilliant idea, by the way, putting everything within just 10 minutes. But the first thing is this, and I think all of us tuning in this particular session will realize that consumer experience, the definition of consumer experience has changed right now, and moving to 2021, there are few things that will stick. So one of it is that we're talking about consumer experience going beyond customer service, meaning that there's a higher demand when it comes to customer service where people are expecting not just speed, but what we call personification in our content and messaging. Meaning that people are not just satisfied for you just answering their question, but they want you to do it in precise as possible. They want it to be fast as possible, but more importantly, as human as possible. So this means that even if you're using a chatbot or you're having somebody that's responding, it's no longer just going to be copy and paste, but we want people that's able to communicate on a human level so that it feels as though we are really talking to somebody. On top of that, we're also seeing how customer experience is moving to be more unified, meaning that the information is shared across different channels. I mean, just like right now, right? I shared just now that I'm switching between screens and all that. And as consumers, we do that all the time. We may be watching a YouTube video on our laptop. At the same time, we are probably browsing Facebook on our mobile, and our TV probably has Netflix streaming. It's a multi-channel, multi-screen world today. And from a customer experience perspective, we are now expecting unified information, meaning that if we are switching between screens, the information should follow where I stop. The progress should also follow and not be an entire restart when I shift between screens and different devices. Because if you do that...
So we talk about omni-channel marketing so much, which is having seamless experience across channel, but you're also talking about connecting the dots and being able to walk them down on different platforms and not just give them the same look across the channel. Indeed, right?
Exactly. Because the behavior and expectation from different devices it is very huge, right? From screen on your laptop to mobile, that is already a huge gap and a huge difference over here. And if there's no unification, imagine you have a consumer reading through an article, 500 words in, he shifts into a mobile screen and he needs to reload the entire article and go through 500 again, right? It's not going to be like that. It's a struggle in terms of technology, and many brands are trying to solve it right now, but consumers are already demanding that. That is the main reason why if we look at streaming platforms like Netflix, the moment you stop it on the TV and when you resume it on a tablet, it continues from where you left off, right? This is the whole reason of why consumer attention is moving towards as well. But sorry.
Jane, let's go back a little bit here. I want people to understand. You talked about the bot, you talked about the chat systems. I'm sure because we both come from a very strong marketing background, and as much as we love technology, we love humanization as well. So I just want to understand, you don't like chatbots, or you want businesses to be able to adapt to the chatbot change? Because I personally feel they are much needed, but when they make it too robotic, it just doesn't feel right.
Exactly. So I'm not against chatbot, right? I think chatbots are a gift to humankind and to marketers because it kind of removes that cumbersome layer of speed and requiring somebody to sit behind it 24/7, which is not cost effective and efficient for many of us. So chatbots are great. But the problem is that sometimes when we program our chatbots or when we train our chatbots, we really take it as a bot, right? So the conversation is there's no human language into it. It's very instructional. It's always one way. It's like, okay, pick the 4 things that you want me to talk to you about. Is it a problem, or is it a complaint, or is it what? Tell me 1, 2, 3, 4. Answer me right now. 3. Okay. So if it's 3, answer me this question right now, right? So it's very, it reminds me of the customer service thing where you call on the phone, right? And they ask you, press 1 for English, press 2 for a different language. And you go through that, right? And I understand that is through the phone, right? So that's fine. But if you're going through chatbots where you have so much data you can leverage on, you know the person's name, you know the person's gender through the profile, you probably know whether this is an active user or not. You can actually customize how you approach your conversations. It's as simple as changing the tone and language to be more humanized rather than robotic.
Perfect. Go ahead. Tell us more about the consumer attention side if you have.
Yeah, so the other aspect that is also seeing on the rise right now is the demand for brands to also take on a very social-driven purpose or social-driven cause. Now, consumers have become very vocal in 2020. Back then, it's always a nice to have when you see a brand that, oh yeah, they're supporting the environment, they are doing these nice things for the organization. And people say, yeah, okay, thumbs up, pat on the back. But in 2020, people are seeing this as a demand. They are saying that, hey, brands, if you are not addressing some of these key issues like Black Lives Matter that we see in the US, like the corporate racism in different countries that we're facing right now, or even the environmental impact with disposable masks, if brands are not taking action, if brands are staying silent, consumers don't want to be part of the brand. Right? So consumers have shifted and moved to become just very passive consumers right now to become even more active and expect brands to do it. And that to me is a huge change of behavior, because that is kind of like a switch of a mindset, right? From just consuming and right now wanting brands to play a part. And this is also putting pressure on brands to take on this aspect in terms of their messaging.
Makes sense, because Jane, I have also come across situations where now people are more buying necessary things or emotionally driven things. It's just 2 category of purchase. There was a time when people used to do impulsive buy. I don't think anymore it is something that people are getting attracted, even if they say jaw-dropping prices, which we used to think of 11.11 and 12.12. But no more. They are evaluating their expenses way more than any time before. With this, of course, Jane, I would also love to hear your perspective, because I have personally read through and seen that people are more driven towards expanding their skill set. They're more driven towards learning. And that's how we started Link Corner Stories, because they wanted to learn from people. They wanted to learn from real life rather than only, I would say, for the lack of the better word, maybe bookish or just segmented content, which was aligned and frameworked. What's your take on that towards the L&D side of it?
I totally agree. I mean, 2020 is also the year where digital education is made so accessible. Prior to this, even personally, I can't remember when was the last time I actually attended a learning webinar like this. But this year, I think if I sum up every webinar, every education platform that I've been on, it clearly beats the entire total for the previous of my entire life, right? And there's this demand here. But at the same time, there's also a demand of what we call content that's delivered by practitioners. So it's not just experts, that self-claimed experts or gurus that just come out of nowhere without any real industry knowledge or performance coming up to sell education programs, which we see quite a bit in the early parts, but towards the end, there's a huge demand for more quality, sustainable learning, just like how you have just described it, Kush.
Absolutely, Jane. I think that's where proven people are mattering more than anybody else who have done it, proved it, and now they're teaching it instead of just learning from the proven ones and going out. But thanks, Jane Wong, for being with us on Link or Prana Stories.
Thank you so much.